Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you do not miss an upload from me. So today wanted to talk about public assistance in my city. Okay, and what made me think to talk about this is a friend of mine and we were talking about how the young people out here that's not working, how they're actually living better than us. Okay, I mean, besides doing the illegal pharmaceutical things, like the young ladies with babies that we're paying for, they're actually on public assistance. And now, don't get me wrong. Now, public assistance is actually supposed to help you get on your feet. It's not a lifestyle. It's not what I'm trying to say, everyday, or I should say, a yearly thing. Am I saying? I don't think I'm saying that correctly. But anyway, it's supposed to just help you get on your feet. So you can go to school, get some kind of degree in order to get a job and get off public assistance. Okay. But our young people are on public assistance for years. Now, I can see if you were going to school for education, for a degree or whatever, and sometimes that does take a couple of years depending on what it is that you're going for. But they're just making a lifestyle out of it, okay? And they're actually living better than us that's working every day, paying taxes and all of this stuff. So the public assistance in our area, well, in our city, our state, I'm not sure if it's still the same. I'm pretty sure some things have changed over the years. Now, I used to be on public assistance. I had my daughter at a young age. I was a teen mom. I was actually still in school, in high school, when I had her. And so public assistance actually helped me out. Okay. Now, back then, we were getting, for a single child, for one child, it was $250 a month. I believe it's like $250 a month. And we also got food stamps. I don't remember how much the food stamps. I think it was like $265 or something like that. I believe so. And like I said, it helped me out tremendously while I was still in school. My mom helped out a little, very little. When I say very little, I mean very little. So yeah, I had to turn to public assistance. And amongst me having public assistance, I also moved into public housing. I think I was 19. So basically, after I graduated high school, let me get back. So while I was on public assistance, I was underage, and if I'm not mistaken, my mother, the checks actually had to be in my mother's name because I wasn't 18. So my mother was like, kind of like now with Social Security and SSI, how you have a payee. So she was my payee, but so she would get my checks and sign them, and cash them and give them to me. Back then there wasn't any bank accounts that you can put your public assistance check in like it is now, how it goes directly to how it goes directly to a bank account or a bank card or whatever. It was like they actually had to go to the currency exchange, stand in a long line, and um, cash the checks. So the currency exchange, the checks actually went to the currency exchange that was in your area. So whatever address you gave them, if it was a currency exchange a block away, that's where you would go pick up your check at. So you would stand in the line. Public aid had a little public aid ID card. You would give them your ID card, and they would look through the little box, find your check. You would sign that you got the check, and then right then you just open it up, sign it, and then cash it. And then the envelope also had your food stamps in it. So once I hit 18, I was able to go down to public aid and get my check signed over to me. Okay, so at that time, me and my mother weren't really getting along like we should have been, but I ended up moving out, like I think it was like 4 days before I turned 19, and I end up moving into public housing. Okay, now public housing is also temporary. Public housing is not a place that you want to live for the rest of your life. Okay, you don't want to do that. It's just a stepping stone to till you get better, till you go to school, get a better job, and move out. That's what public housing is for, just like with public assistance. But of course, people have been living there for years. I know my boyfriend at the time, his mother had lived there all his life, and she raised 5 kids in there, and her two daughters and her son also raised their family in public housing on public assistance. She had never worked. His mother never worked. She always got public assistance. She's always living in public housing. And like I said, it's supposed to be just a stepping stone. It's not a permanent home. At least it's not supposed to be. Okay. And public housing along with public aid, they kind of work together. I don't know like in your state, but our state, all of our state programs, they talk to each other like the computer system. They all are connected, like our Social Security place, the public aid place, public housing, all of that was together. So you couldn't really lie and say that you didn't have this. Okay. So I remember one particular day I had got a job. Now I was still on public assistance. I was still living in public housing. I did get a job, but I ended up leaving that job maybe within 6 months or so. So when I went down to public assistance to recertify, or for like what they call it, redetermination, they pulled up my Social Security, said, "Oh, you working?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not working anymore." And they said, "Well, you've been working from this month to this month to this month, and you were making so amount of money, because your Social Security number takes you everywhere." Okay, that's like your fingerprints. Okay, so that number is like your fingerprints. You, wherever you go, that number goes just like your fingerprints. Okay, so yeah, you can be found any kind of way. But anyway, so they found out that I was working, and so amongst that I think it was like 6 months, And when I went down to public assistance, I had to be redetermined to see if I was still eligible for it. They found out I was working, and I actually had to pay that money back that I got from them. So my checks were shorter, my food stamps were shorter, and it took maybe a year to pay that back. Now the good thing about that was I was living in public housing. Um, Public housing, my rent was only $25. So I was able to pay my rent up for 6 months to a year. I mean, $25 is, you know. So what I would do, I would like um uh the first, like, when, say if I got my check today, I would get them $75. So that will hold me for 3 months. But then when I get paid again that next month, I'll get them another, so my rent was always paid up. I never had a problem with my rent. And also we had the energy assistance program in our area is called CETA or Light Heap. And they, when you apply for that, especially living in public housing, and they know everybody lives in public housing don't have a job really, or excuse me, or if they have a job, they're making very little money, working part-time or something like that. And so you would just fill out the application and everything. And so this program would pay so much on your lights and your gas. Okay. And I think my light bill was like $15-$20. Okay. And they would pay like $400-$500 up. So that would last me almost a year. And same with my gas now. In public housing, you didn't pay heat. You only paid cooking gas. So my cooking gas was only like $20-$25. So they paid up a whole lot. So which means that's something less that I didn't have to do, which was cool. Now let me tell you something. So when I moved out of public housing, after I, got a job and everything, I moved out of public housing, I was still doing CETA because I was still able to qualify. My daughter was still coming up. She was still in school. And then at that time, I had started taking care of my mother. My mother had got sick, so we was able to do her things on the disability part. So from the time I was 19 until maybe 5 years ago, think about maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 years ago, I was still doing CETA. Now, where I end up stopping is because I no longer qualified because my income had, kept going up. But the thing is with CETA, it's like the more people that you have living in your house, well, not technically even living in the house, but as long as you had their social security number, you were able to do that. The more people the more social security numbers that you had, the more money that you had got for CETA. So that's how I was still able to do it because, it was me, my daughter, my husband, and my mother. And by my mother having a disability, I was able to actually apply for CETA early before anybody else and still get more money. So I was still doing CETA from way back then until like I said, about 4, 5, maybe 6 years ago. If it's been that long. I don't even think it's been 6 years. 4 years ago, because I ended up stopping when my mother passed. Okay. Because my daughter moved down there, just me and my husband, and my income was like by myself was just not enough. And is he calling me? Yeah, so my income was actually a little bit over, probably like $1 or $2. So, and there was no way that I can add my husband because it'd have been way over. And by that time, my daughter had already moved out, and so I couldn't do CETA anymore. Like I said, my mom had passed, so I couldn't do that anymore. So that's how I ended up stopping with CETA. But getting back to what I was saying, so the public assistance, it is just a stepping stone, guys. It's not nothing to be doing for years. It's not. So, like I said, yeah, me and my friend, we were talking about it, and she was like, the people that's on public aid, they living way better than we are, and we work every day, and she is not lying. We struggling to pay these bills, and they walking around here with $300 gym shoes and $200 outfits, and I'm like, maybe I need to quit working and get back on public assistance, because it's crazy. It's crazy. But anyway, that was my little tale on public assistance. I'm not gonna hold you guys any longer. Um, yeah. Anywho, post in the comments, guys, if you guys were ever on public assistance or know someone, and are they still on it? Is it just a stepping stone in your state or your city? How did you or your whoever that you know, finally get off, if they did? What about public housing? Do you guys have public housing? Um, you know, yeah. Also, post in the comments, what do you guys want to see from me? What videos would you like to see? I do have some videos that's going to be coming out pretty soon. Some really good videos, and you guys stay tuned for that. But post in the comments what you want to see, what you want to talk about, and all that good stuff. So, like I said, I'm not going to keep you guys. I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.